Hello, my name is Roos Lowette. I work for the city of Mechelen in the mobility department. And the next 10 minutes I'll tell you more about how the city of Mechelen installed almost 60 parcel lockers on its public domain, served by electrical vehicles and giving us results we would never have dreamt of. So join me on the next slides. As an introduction first, Mechelen is a medium-sized city with almost 90,000 inhabitants, and the city is no exception in Europe when it comes to the challenges it's facing. We want to stay a city that can be easily reached by all transport modes, but we also want to make our city sustainable and keep it livable. We want to change the focus from car users to pedestrians and cyclists, and we aim to give back public space to the users of the city to create space to live. And our mobility focus is therefore to give priority to those on foot, then to cyclists, then to public transport, and only then to car users. And to that end, we installed a circulation plan, a car-free inner city during certain hours, a cycle zone where cars can't overtake, and so on. Here are some pictures to give you a glance of the city. And so when we talk mobility, we also talk logistics. And how can we make logistics more efficient and sustainable? 4 principles are our guide in formulating policy. We want to reduce the number of vehicle movements. We want to reduce the number of driven kilometers. We want to reduce the emitted CO2. And lastly, we want to improve air quality. And so how do we do that in Mechelen? Well, we have a typical way to deal with logistics. Usually policy is formulated top-down, which results in action. But for logistics, we first take action and only then see if and what policy measures are needed. So we work bottom-up thanks to European projects the city is involved in. One of these European projects was Surflock, specifically focused on logistic hubs in an urban environment and how to serve them in a sustainable and efficient way. While being a partner in Surflock, national news was how bpost, our National Postal Service, couldn't keep up with all the parcels that were being sent. And evidently we knew that parcel delivery growth was to be expected, but nobody could have foreseen the sudden growth related to COVID in 2020. Thanks to Surflock, the city of Mechelen took actions towards this growing e-commerce, and we did so by installing lockers throughout the city. And we like to call them our mailboxes of the future, because you can receive and pick up parcels in the locker anytime you want. And so what did we do? We wrote out a tender for 4 smart lockers on our public domain. And very important to us was that they would operate as an open system, meaning all delivery companies can use these lockers. And as you can already guess from the picture, bpost won this tender. And we decided to place these lockers on public domain and defended that choice by stating that the lockers are, an added value for the inhabitants. Because indeed, consolidating parcels would lead to less driven kilometers with less air pollution and a safer environment for vulnerable road users. The parcel lockers were installed a while before COVID, but as you can see, the usage went up during the lockdown and afterwards kept on growing up until today. And this showed us that there was a big need for these kind of lockers. And because this was a success, and because of our strive as a city for a more sustainable, greener city, bpost came to us with the question to run yet another pilot in the city, a new pilot. And bpost called the new pilot the eco zone. And so what was it about? Again, lockers, but this time smaller and more easily installable. These smaller lockers, they didn't take up much space. They didn't need anchoring into the ground, and they worked on a battery that lasted for years. So in contrast with the big lockers that did need anchoring and that did need a connection to the electricity grid. bpost asked the city to install 50 small lockers at a distance of about 400 meters from each other. And bpost promised to handle the deliveries and pickups with zero-emission vehicles. And the city of Mechelen said yes to this project. And the result is almost 60 lockers in and around the city. And like I said, the strive was to have a locker at every 400 meters. And bpost likes to call this distance slipper distance, because they saw that a lot of the end users still made a dedicated trip by car to go pick up their parcel from the big lockers. And by taking away the distance with the dense network of these small lockers, the end user could go and pick up the parcel on his or her slippers and in bathrobe. So there should be no excuse anymore to take the car. Evidently, you can't just randomly pick locations to install these lockers, big or small. There are some things you have to keep in mind, and the first one is that it comes in really handy to have someone within the city who can, in the beginning, work intensively on the selection process of locations. It's very important that someone who knows the city makes a first selection of possible locations, because locker providers, they won't know your city as well as you do, and chances are that they don't know the sensitivities specific to your city or to certain locations. And apart from that, it's very important to make sure it's a place where it's safe to stop, where there is a minimum of 1 meter passage on the sidewalk, preferably close to a shared mobility hub or public transport, in such a place that the locker doesn't block any views, but also that the locker is not hidden and so difficult to find. And so the impact of the ecozone, on the left you see the business as usual numbers that indicate no use of lockers in Mechelen, and the regular drops by van. And on the right you see the numbers with the lockers and the zero emission delivery modes of bpost. And most gains are because of bpost using cargo bikes with trailers and light electrical vehicles. And a small gain comes from the end customer that picks up or drops off its parcels by bike or on foot. And on a more zoomed out level, you see even more sustainability gains concerning noise, safety, air pollution, congestion, etc. The only indicator, as you see, that went up is the production of electricity, which is needed for the new zero emission ways of delivery. So what did we learn? First of all, check the local regulations. Do you need a permit to install this on public domain? Also check each location with every internal stakeholder. Does anyone have any objections? Then make the network dense enough to really achieve the sustainability and efficiency effects of bundling. And make it an open system. That's what we initially aimed for, but we didn't achieve it. bpost is the biggest player in Belgium, so most parcels go through them anyway, but their competitors at the moment have no access to the lockers due to the impossibility to make agreements between them and bpost. And so only when all parties are engaged from the beginning is it possible to make the locker system a truly open system. And in short, the installation of lockers is time consuming in the very beginning, but the investment is well worth it. That's it. Thank you very much. And in case you'd have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you.